Hey everybody, it's John Moon again with Buy Me a Coffee, back with another thrilling discussion about community building. I gotta set the mood for this one though. Wonderful. Sweet red apple. Okay. So we've already established what a community is in the previous video. They're a group of people with shared values, interests, beliefs, and they exist on these online platforms, and we're talking about the ones that are community owned, more decentralized, like Slack, Discord, and Circle, to name just a few. We're not really talking about the Facebooks and the Instagrams. This concept of community building is being used universally from major corporations down to individual creators. So that's what we're primarily focusing on here. Community building at a small scale, but with big results. And I mean big, as in if you're a creator looking to maximize your creative work and actually see some serious payoff from that creative work, keep watching, because in this video we explore the why. Why is it so important as a creator to build an online community? So I touched on this in a previous video about my predictions for the creator economy, for the rest of this year as well as in 2022. And one of those predictions was that you're going to start seeing creators be successful with smaller audiences. In other words, you don't need 1 million followers anymore. You don't even really need thousands of followers. You just need a small, extremely loyal group of people around you to support you, grow with you, to the point where you're not only the one benefiting from your fans, but they're actually benefiting from you too, and benefiting from being in your circle, otherwise known as your community. As a creator, you really should stop trying to work towards a giant fandom. You don't need it. That isn't to say it can't happen, and if you do manage to accumulate millions and millions of followers, great. Good for you. You've made it. Stop watching. But for people who are just starting out, are relatively unknown, maybe they've reached that middle class creator status, but aren't really seeing much of a payoff, but they have an audience, this is for you. I don't want you to have that huge, massive following. I don't want that for you. You see how f***ed up celebrities are. A lot of them aren't really that happy. They have all the money in the world, and that's awesome, but they're being followed constantly. They have zero privacy, and they're usually in some sort of binding contract where they have to look and act a certain way to please their fans. That just sounds shitty to me. I don't want that for you. But good thing is that you don't really need that anymore. And more creators are starting to realize this. Community building, while the concept has been around forever, on a creator scale, it's still relatively new. And we're learning a lot about it. I'm learning more about it. This isn't the only conversation we're going to be having about it. It's very ongoing. The creator space is evolving, and so will community building. And you're going to see more and more tools being made for this very reason. More of these community-owned platforms like, Discord, Slack, Circle are going to be made. So now is the chance to really jump on it while it's still early. But let's go into why it's even important to have a community. Well, first off, if you're a creator on TikTok, you've heard and probably seen 1 million people tell you be authentic, be yourself, connect with your audience. Especially if you're a creator who's, been able to land some brand deals and promote products, as an influencer. The reason they're reaching out to you is because they, as the brand, realize that it's important to be authentic and reach their audience in a very relatable way. And that idea of being authentic is extremely crucial when you make the decision to start forming a community, because you're taking that level of trust even further with your fans. And trust is so important, not just for the consumer or the user. It's like a relationship where, one of the most important things is to build that foundation of trust in order for it to be lasting. You obviously want your fans to stick with you until the end. The best way to really gain their trust is to invite them into your community. It shows you care about people. In the next video, we're gonna show you how to actually start this community, but not only that, how to sustain your community and nurture your community. Make them really feel like they belong. Another big reason why it is so important to start a community, I don't mean to be all conspiracy theory on you right now, but it's the future of the internet. Small communities are already starting to be formed, on Discord, Twitch, and the gaming community especially, but they're gonna start popping up across the board. We'll go into more detail about the future of the internet and Web3 and crypto and all that jazz. But to break it down kind of into simpler terms, people are gonna start owning the internet rather than renting the internet. Rather than being on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and relying on those platforms to help build your audience, interact with people, share your stuff, share your creative work. You're gonna start to see people straying away from social media in general and moving to these online communities that are much smaller, that are owned by the community instead of by Mark Zuckerberg and whoever the f*** else. They're now owned by you, by creators, small and big. I'm not saying social media is gonna die, because unfortunately for now, in order to start building an audience, you do have to rely on social media to do that. The foot traffic, the algorithm, it's all very helpful, but like I said in the last video, you have to abide by the rules of those platforms. So social media isn't going anywhere yet, but I do believe that in the future, more people are gonna ditch social media for these smaller, more intimate communities. And within those communities, that's how they get all of their information, their content, their entertainment, because it's catered to them. They're surrounded by people that share the same interests. They're actually able to talk and network with those people. Rather than mindlessly scrolling through social media where the content is mostly just a bunch of shit made from people that you don't actually know or care about, people are instead going to be mindfully scrolling through content within their community. And it's shared with people who they actually enjoy being around. Amazing relationships are made via these online communities, and it's happening already. And because of that, it's healthier. It's less toxic than social media. Y'all see The Social Dilemma on Netflix? Yeah, it sucks. And we'll talk about that too, just the mental health aspect of social media. But I do believe that these online communities are the future, and they're gonna be way healthier for people. The pros definitely outweigh the cons. And to name a few more, you're way more in touch with your members. You can get honest feedback from your members too. Instead of those fucking trolls, you're actually getting constructive feedback from people who you trust, because you've already built that foundation of trust with your community members. And speaking of those trolls, which, will never go away, you have your community members to kind of back you up and defend you against those trolls. Another reason I mentioned earlier, you're going to create amazing relationships. This new era of the internet, I hope, is going to bring out the best in people and bring out that longing for deeper connection and conversation instead of mindless drivel. It is already happening, so that's pretty cool. But you're probably wondering, hey John, but I'm trying to make money and not starve as a creator. How can a community benefit me there? Well, you need to understand that if you have a following, you can make money off that following. And if you have a very loyal following in a very nurturing community where you're taking care of your community members, then they will probably do anything for you and buy whatever you sell them. And the reason we're even making these videos and having this conversation now, because the internet is starting to open up so many opportunities for people to monetize that audience. Buy Me a Coffee is one of those platforms that allows you to just ask for simple donations without a huge commitment. But the more you start to engage and interact with your audience, the more they're willing to commit to some longer term support. Things like monthly memberships that give your fans access to exclusive stuff, cool stuff, behind the scenes stuff. And yeah, those are just a few reasons why I think it's important for creators to at least start considering, picking those most loyal followers and kind of putting them in a special group. If you are convinced, if you liked this, then stick around for the next video, because we're going to be discussing how to start one of these communities, what to do once you have it, and then also how to sustain it, how to take care of it, how to nurture it. Exciting stuff, I hope. And we're gonna be having more of these conversations as time goes on, especially on Twitter Spaces. If you're a creator that already uses Buy Me a Coffee, great. Consider following us on social media, although, I just basically on social media, but, follow us on social media. All right, see you next time. Cheers, everyone.